AIM-listed ECR Minerals is developing 2 prime gold exploration assets at Bailieston and Creswick in Australia's Victoria goldfields, and is in early stage exploration mode at its Lolworth licensed tenements in North Queensland. With a drilling campaign still underway at the Blue Moon project, the company recently announced final results from the 2022 Bailieston drilling campaign. I'm joined again today from Victoria by Technical Director Adam Jones. Adam, hello again. How are you doing?
Excellent, Alan. Beautiful weather here in Victoria after probably other people in the other parts of the world have been hearing a little bit about our rainfalls recently.
I certainly have seen it in the pictures as well, of course.
Yeah. So but it's nice and sunny, and it's good to be back outside. And
Good. Well, it's a nice sunny autumnal day here in the UK. We'll get to the Bailieston campaign in a second, Adam, but Creswick all of a sudden has exploded back into life. So firstly, can you tell us what you found there? And secondly, why those cores weren't fully tested first time around? I'm going to bring a slide up too.
Yeah, so whilst the board was away recently over in London during July, one of the projects I got the guys here at Bendigo to do was to resample or duplicate the other half of the diamond core, which we drilled in 2021. I already suspected, and we already sort of had a bit of background knowledge that the Creswick project in particular is very nuggety. It's very coarse gold. So it's just inherent with potential sampling errors and, getting the grades wrong and whatnot. Just for, the idea of sample security and all that sort of stuff, we actually ended up only just doing the traditional half sampling, which is cutting the core in half and leaving the other half as a representative sample for later on if we want to come back to it. And that's essentially what I've done. Just anything that had anomalous gold in it, just above background or on the background or in quartz veins that had been logged by the geologist as had some sulfides or, something that closely may have potential for gold. I prioritize them to actually get sampled, and and the results speak for itself. It clearly shows that there's a clear nugget effect there with so much variability in the grades. I'm happy that we're starting to now really refine and get some sort of strategy behind how we're going to actually sample these things properly there at Creswick.
So can you remind us what those grades were that you found on the retest, Adam?
Yeah, so you can see there on the plan map on the left there, just to give a bit of a summary of just to the listeners right now of the location where we did the diamond drilling. So you can see there in the north part of the left-hand side plan there, right up the top there, you've got the Brewery Lane property, which all the shareholders know that's our actually ECR owned about 17 acres there. With historic gold mines on it. That's where the initial drilling started in 2019. That's where we first did the first diamond drill campaign in 2021, which included diamond hole 1 and number 2, and then 7 and 8. And you can see clearly on the grades there, the ones highlighted in bold red. For instance, in hole number 1, the original sample came back at 0.7 meters at 0.1, which is literally background or nothing. And as you can see there, it's the other half of the sample came back at 0.7 at just about 48 grams, which is like an ounce and a half a ton. And over widths like 0.7 meters, and that's pretty close to true width in certain spots. That's remarkable, and it just clearly shows that how if you don't sample it properly and you don't test this sort of duplicating and seeing how if the gold's nuggety or coarse, you can see how you could easily just kill a whole project. And just from looking at some of the drilling that has been done by previous companies in the area, there's very limited drilling done, but there is a couple of stuff done in the 1980s to the north of us, the tenements, and they potentially did the same thing where They got 1 gram or something like that over a meter, and then they just said, nah, there's no gold there. And but you can clearly see there from those grades that if you don't sample it correctly, you don't get the volume of the sample, and you don't really test this out. You could walk away and lose big time. So I'm happy that we're actually looking at a lot of these sort of strategy, looking at a lot of these problems there at Creswick, so we can really sort it out, get a resource there. That's our goal. So yeah.
And of course, with the land access now that you've got through owning the property, that must put this right back at the top of the list in terms of priorities.
Yes, it does actually. So we're doing a fair bit of other exploration activities in the area there. Soon to be announced. So we're expecting results very shortly. You can see on the right hand side there just a bit of a summary of some of the groundwork we've been doing in the last month or two there. This is sort of going on in the background behind the drilling at Blue Moon and also the Queensland projects. But yeah, just a bit of a summary there on the right. So you've got the Dimmick's main shale trend, which we've been drilling. All the little green boxes you see there with all the soil grids. So you've got Blue Gum Soil Grid and Blue Gum South. These are all little infill areas because when we did the diamond drilling last year, in particular hole number 3, which is at Blue Gum South, that was our best grade on our initial sampling, and that was 1 meter at 23.6 grams. And to this day, though, we don't know where that outcrop, or we can we've seen where it probably should be outcropping by projecting it to the surface. There's quartz all over the surface, but we haven't actually narrowed it down where the actual gold is outcropping there. So this is sort of the outcome. This is what I'm hoping the outcome of these soil programs will be, is to define where these high-grade shoots, as I call them, high-grade pockets of gold actually come to the surface, and and then we can really strategically drill these things and really narrow them down and move along really quick.
Of course,
yeah. And I just want to add here too is that you can see on the right-hand side of the Blue Gum South grid, I've got a bit of another parallel reef, quartz reef line there, which is I've just said open reef line there. It's off Davey Road. That's why I'm just calling it Davey Soil Grid at the moment. The recent LiDAR data we've been talking about a couple of months ago, which shows a lot of alluvial gold shedding from those particular hills there. And I've actually just completed the soil grids over those areas, and so we're expecting the results for them very shortly. So we're just trying to take as many opportunities as we can, developing looking at parallel quartz reefs. We do know there's at least 3 of them through the property, just in that top end up near the Brewery Lane. So, and you can see there, right at the top of Brewery Lane itself, I've got, there's an adit or a tunnel. It's 120 meters long, and it's actually open and available for sampling the actual quartz veins in situ. So, it's historically been mined, probably 150 years ago. And I've been taking advantage of that and actually, doing a bit of rock chips in there and just see if there's what's left over in there. And just the same thing, just trying to extend the mineralization and the strike of mineralization. You can see there we've sort of drilled along it and in very sporadically. But it's 2.5 k's long in strike there at the moment. So I'm very much looking forward to the future there, and coming into the new year. So Creswick.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, these results are from license 6184. You've also got the new license 6907 covering Eastern Arena Goldfield and the mineralized belt running towards Ballarat. Are you planning? What are your plans there after you develop the existing 6184?
Yeah, so I'm just more about time really and getting staff on the ground, so to speak. But that's probably our biggest problem. We only got a small team here. But the EL to the south of the one you see on the map here, 6907. That's immediately just north of Ballarat. It's on the same trend. These reef lines do trend through there. historical workings going right through the whole lot, and the investigations and this strategy we're doing here with our soil sampling and our drill, the way we drill. This is all sort of a testing ground as well for those other tenements, because it's the same type of mineralization. So we'll refine it where we know where there is some gold, and then we'll just extend that down to those other tenements. And I'm hoping to start doing some basic soil sampling at least, and rock chips. There's a lot of exposed old workings there with veins still in situ, which have never been sampled ever. And I'm hoping to sort of get some data there towards Christmas this year.
Excellent. Well, Adam, let's now talk about the final set of drill results from HR3 at Bailieston. Some great grades from hole 43, which returned a 4 meter average of 9 grams per ton. That's a composite reading, of course. And this was, of course, the latest in an impressive and consistent run of results from the Marianne decline. Now you've got this detailed understanding of the geology there. What's next?
Yeah, so the last hole we drilled there, we finished up drilling there just a month ago or so, and as expected, or I was hoping anyway, that last drill hole would come back with those results. It's a very good way to just end that drilling for this year. So that, just to give a background to that particular hole. It's not marked on the map there, but where it's got Football Reef marked on the map, right next to the collar point. We had hole 19, we had hole 34. They're at different azimuths to hole 43. We got visible gold in hole 34. And hole 43 was just a follow-up to that, to actually test, mineralization further to the north. It's clearly showing it's open at depth and open to the north there. So we're probably just going to evaluate. I think we'll be fools to, walk away from that at this part. But our Blue Moon project, the rig's down there right now drilling, so that's sort of priority. Potentially bigger tons at this stage, and all the nice things, from a commercial point of view. But we will never forget about that, and we will be intending on following up. Personally, straight up, I would say that to follow up hole 43, we probably look down plunge, see how far this thing plunges down deeper underneath the old, towards the north, and also the ground's open for a fair way to the north on that particular part of the tenement. So it's going into private property there, which is all open ground. Pretty much abandoned farmland to a certain extent. It's not, so would have to approach property owners and have a look up there and see if we can get on there and have a look and see if it extends right up there. So
of course,
so these are the sort of thoughts I've got for Bailieston, following it up. So
super. Okay. Well, of course, Blue Moon's also part of the Bailieston asset, and I know your chief executive Andrew Haythorpe is particularly enthused by the geology at Blue Moon, given the results of the 2019 campaign, which of course indicated broad examples of mineralization. I think one example was 11 meters at 5.13 grams per ton. So the drill campaign that you're undertaking now is following up on the previous reverse circulation drilling holes. What's the latest on that? I've got a map of Blue Moon for you to talk through as well.
Yeah, so our first time, we're planning on doing, around 1,000 meters straight up. We've just finished the first hole. We actually drilled shorter than I was expecting, actually, but that's no problem. We can drill, many holes we want there, really, as long as there's mineralization there. So we've actually started drilling from where it says drill site 2 on your plan there. And we've drilled into where it says initial target on the text there, directly south of it. We've drilled into it as expected there, at a shallow depth. It's all been logged, sampled. It's actually sitting in the laboratory right now. I'm hoping for final results for that probably in 2 weeks, hopefully. So the lab turnaround the last couple of weeks is getting very quick. The reason being is the local lot of local exploration companies have stopped doing their work for the next probably month or so because of the weather. They can't get access to paddocks and stuff like that because it's too wet and whatever. So it's a very big upside for us operating here. We can take advantage of that and get these samples in and get some results out ASAP and keep moving along further to the west on the target here.
Excellent. So data in 2 weeks. That's really exciting. So lots to look forward to there. So the Victoria campaigns are shaping up nicely, and of course you've got a field team on the ground at Lolworth Range in northern Queensland. A soil sampling campaign is nearly complete there. Can you tell us how that's going?
Yeah. So the guys have only got. So we initially planned about 211 stream sediments. Stream sediment samples there. The guys have been up there for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks now. I was talking to them this morning and last night, and they're back out the field. They're back from the field, having a break for a week and or close to a week, and they've completed all those 211 samples are originally planned. Just some of the stuff we've been, we're liking, we're seeing, and whatnot. So so we've actually done just a couple of extra samples here and there. So in actually total now I've got about 240 or 245 initial samples done. So and I think they've got about 10 to go, and that's it. So and that's it's on one particular property which we've just finalized to get access on, and but the guys have been up there. It's just been a good experience up there for them. All the property owners around the area there, they just get along like a house on fire, so to speak. And they're all open now, and everybody's really good. A lot of communication. The only sort of threatening thing to that project coming up, because it's up in the tropics. So the wet season here in Australia is usually traditionally between December and say February, March. So, and they're looking at another La Nina season this year. So it could be rain next week. Sometimes you just don't it's been like that. But at the moment it's getting hotter up there. But the guys told me that as long as they don't get stuck out there in the rain, they'll keep pushing through as much as they can. So and with that with the project too, we've got 91 of the stream sediments already in the lab as well. So expecting them anytime soon. They've been in the lab for at least 2 or 3 weeks now. So so I'm hoping to get some initial results out very shortly on that, and then more to come.
Excellent. Good.
So just got out there too, as I'm planning on going up there next week. So myself personally, and go out to the ground myself. So do a few rock chips and see what the terrain looks like. So it'd be good to get some pictures out there for everybody and show what it looks like.
Superb. Look forward to seeing those. So, Adam, there's an awful lot going on. I think investors can be really excited about the prospects for ECR in the near term. Can you just summarise for us what investors can expect in the near term? You've already mentioned them as we've gone through, but if you could just summarise them.
Yep. Yeah. So we've got just the Queensland stuff going on at the moment, and the final lot of them, or sorry, the final of the initial samples should be in the lab, I reckon, by the end of this week. The initial 91 samples, what I mentioned, they should be the results of them should be coming back. I'm anticipating any week now. They've been there for 2 or 3 weeks now, so and so we've got that there, and that will involve further soil, following up, and and that's just depending on the weather conditions as well coming up. And for being Victoria, it's all guns blazing here. So we've got the drill rig operating at Blue Moon as we speak. That's going to be continuing on. I've got plans to keep that going, probably till January next year, to drill a fair bit there. And it's no point moving the rig around all across the state, so we might as well drill while we get depending on the results straight up. So and then Creswick, that's my next big plan, getting down there. So all this soil sampling is sort of leading up to follow-up drilling. You know, I want to extend the mineralisation there. I'm being pretty aggressive with the exploration, but you know, that's the way I like to be. You know, we want to get stuff done. So yeah, so I'm hoping that shareholders see the value in it, and yeah, I'm hoping to do my best. And the team here is, you know, it's pretty switched on. We're coming to our summer months down here, so a bit more time out on the ground, and yeah, so yeah, looking forward to good results coming out.
Excellent. Well, the ECR portfolio really is at a potentially pivotal phase, with all active projects potentially set to deliver game-changing data in the near future. Adam Jones, Technical Director at ECR Minerals, once again, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Alan.